A very good morning, dear students. Today, let us start with the second section of your course, that is poetry. We had 7 essays in the first unit. I have discussed all the essays with you. Now I go ahead with the course and I start with poetry. Now the first poem in your course is A Psalm of Life by Henry Wadsworth, H.W. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The meaning of the word, psalm. What is psalm? Psalm is a sacred song. Sacred song, a poem, a composition which is written in the praise of God. That is what is a psalm. And who is a psalmist? Psalmists are the people who sing psalms. Okay? P silent है, हम इसको psalm पढ़ते हैं. Remember this. Psalm. Okay? A psalm of life. So here you have a sacred song on the big thing called life. Let us see what it is. What the heart of the young man over here is the poet, Longfellow, said to the psalmist, the one who sings songs. So what his heart is saying to the psalmist, he says, tell me not in mournful numbers, mournful, sad, numbers song. Don't tell me in sad songs that life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, that sleeps. Okay, soul that sleeps. A soul which sleeps, he says, is almost dead. And things are not what they seem. And the reality is totally different. So what is the poet doing? Poet is telling the psalmist that I disagree with you when you say, that life is an empty dream. That is not really true. Okay? And he says that for the soul which keeps sleeping, that is almost dead. And he says the reality is outrightly different. Life is real, he says. Life is earnest. And the grave is not its goal. Grave, qabr. Okay? Grave is not the goal of life. सिर्फ मरने के लिए पैदा नहीं हुए हम. Okay? Dust thou art to dust returnest. Now this is something important. Dust thou art. Dust thou returnest. Now this has been taken from the Bible. Okay? And when Adam was thrown out from the paradise, जब heaven से human beings को earth पे छोड़ा गया था, then this was said, and it is written in the Bible, that to dust we belong. Thou is you. Old English में thou को हम you बोलते हैं. Art का मतलब यहाँ पे है are. Dust thou returnest, कि हम मिट्टी से बने हैं और मिट्टी में मिल जाएंगे. But what he says, that was not spoken of what? It was not spoken of the soul. It was spoken for this thing belongs to the body, not to the soul. This is what the poet is telling the psalmists. मैं एक बार दोबारा से पढ़ती हूँ ये second paragraph. Life is real, he says. Life is earnest. And the grave is not the goal. The grave is not the goal of the soul. Dust thou art, to dust returnest. We will go back to dust. Was not spoken of the soul. This was not spoken of the soul. This was spoken of the body. not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way. So life is not just about facing the joys of life, facing happiness in life, or facing the sads, let me say the sorrow part of the life. That is not what all life is about. Life is all about action. We need to act, we need to work, we need to work hard. Okay, that is what is meant of life. That is why he says that life is not merely an empty dream. Not merely, okay. So but to act, let me start from the paragraph again. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way. What is important for us? But to act, that each tomorrow find us farther than today. So that we have to act, we have to take action, we have to work hard so that our tomorrow is better than today. Okay, that is what he means when he say, but to act that each tomorrow find us farther than today. हमारा जो कल है वो आज से बेहतर हो. That is what he means. Art is long. Art एक ऐसी चीज है, एक ऐसी कला है which is permanent. Right? It will never come to an end. The artist may die, but his art will live forever. It is permanent. And time is fleeting. Time flies very fast. We all know that. And our hearts, thou stout and brave. Stout fat के लिए यूज किया जाता है, लेकिन यहाँ heart के लिए यूज हो रहा है, and यहाँ इसका मतलब है strong. Okay? Stout and brave heart. Brave and strong. So this is all used for heart. Still, like muffled drums are beating, funeral marches to the grave. So he's saying that our heartbeats are how they are beating. They are beating like the muffled drums. Muffled drums होते हैं ड्रम्स जिनको कपड़े से कवर कर दिया जाता है. ठीक है, जब फ्यूनरल प्रोसेशन लेके जाया जाता है, the drums are covered with cloth so that the drum makes a very soft noise, not very hard and sharp, and it should be very noisy, है ना. जब उसको हम drum is covered with the cloth, वो बहुत एक soft voice आती है उससे जब फ्यूनरल प्रोसेशन को लेके जाया जाता है. He says, and what he means by all this, जो ये बात कर रहा है, and our hearts, thou stout and brave. Still, he says, our hearts may be brave, our hearts may be strong, but one day we shall definitely die. Okay, so what is important? In the world's broad field of battle, और वर्ल्ड की बैटलफील्ड क्या है? लाइफ. इन द बिवाउक ऑफ लाइफ. बिवाउक होते हैं जो टेम्पररी कैंप्स हमारे सोल्जर्स लगाते हैं. दैट इज व्हाट इज अ बिवाउक इज, टेम्पररी कैंप्स ऑफ लाइफ. इन द बिवाउक ऑफ लाइफ, बी नॉट लाइक डम ड्रिवन कैटल, बी अ हीरो इन द स्ट्राइफ. नाउ दिस इज द मोस्ट important and inspirational part of the poem. Of course, the whole poem is an inspirational poem, but this particular paragraph, he says that life is a battle, and in this battle, life is a battle, and it is not a permanent battlefield, but a temporary camp where we are gonna fight this battle of life. This is what he means. So हमें क्या करना चाहिए? We have to act like heroes, like soldiers, like brave people, right? And not like, just a second. and not like dumb driven cattle who जिनको आप सिर्फ दिशा बताते हो cattles को dumb driven, you drive them, you show them the way. That is not about us. For us, we have to fight this battle of life. Trust no future. He says never trust the future. You never know how it will turn out to be. Let the dead past bury its dead. Do not think of future, do not think of past. What should be done? Live in the present. Right? Act in the present. Act in the living present, he says. So this is the theme of the poem. Heart within and God overhead. तो battle कैसे लड़ना है? How you have to fight the battle? He's saying heart within. Heart within means it means courage. इसको याद रखिए आप, ठीक है? Heart within. Heart within means have the courage in yourself to fight the battle of life and have faith in God, that God is with you and that God is overhead का मतलब है that God is supporting you or God will support you. हमने पढ़ा भी है, सुना भी है और हम इस बात को मानते भी हैं कि बोलते हैं कि God help those who help themselves. तो वो बात यहाँ अप्लाई होती है. Lives of great men all remind us, all great people. To take one example, Gandhi ji. Okay, so many things he has left after him which we can follow. उनकी जो knowledge है, उनकी जो teachings हैं, sorry not knowledge, उनकी जो teachings हैं वो आज भी follow की जाती हैं, right? So lives of great men all remind us. We can make our lives sublime. अपनी life को noble बनाओ, sublime बनाओ, of very high quality बनाओ. Quality, not status. Okay, very high quality. And departing, and when you leave this world, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. अब यहाँ जो footprints है ना, footprints का एक simple सा meaning है. Footprints over here simply implies that you are an inspiration for the people. आप ऐसे काम कीजिए, ऐसे कर्म कीजिए कि लोग आपको अच्छी बातों के लिए याद रखें हमेशा के लिए. Okay, that is what he means by these lines. Footprints that perhaps another sailing over life's Solomon main. If there is a person who is very sad, who's depressed about his life, who's feeling lonely, who is feeling sad, उसके लिए आप एक inspiration बनो, आपकी life एक inspiration बने. Okay, so footprints that perhaps another sailing over life's Solomon main, a forlorn होता है lonely, and shipwrecked होती है a ship that has been completely destroyed. wreck जिसको हम बोलते हैं, जब शिप डूब जाती है और उसके जो बचे हुए रिमेन्स होते हैं उसे हम wreck बोलते हैं. लेकिन यहाँ पे shipwrecked है. shipwrecked मतलब destroyed. A forlorn, lonely and shipwrecked, destroyed brother, seeing shall take heart again. तो अगर कोई ऐसा friend है, brother है, or any human being who is sad, who is lonely, and who has no hopes left in his life, okay, ऐसे person के लिए आप क्या बनो? You become an inspiration for him. You leave footprints for him so that he takes inspiration from you and he takes heart again. Heart again over here means courage again. Heart within and heart again is courage. Basically, taking heart is having courage. He should show courage after following your footprints, after taking inspiration from you. He should be able to gather courage and live life in a new way, in a proper way. Let us then be up and doing. So, get up. Let us be up and doing. Let us work. Let us act. Life is all about action. Let us then be up and doing with a heart for any fate. Heart यहाँ पे फिर से courage के लिए use कर रहे हैं कि हमारे में we should have full courage to face the future, whatever it is, happy, sad, tragic, comic, whatever kind of future we have, we should have courage for it. We should be ready to face it. Still achieving, still pursuing. Still pursuing, still achieving, reaching new goals, that is achieving. And pursuing is making continuous efforts. Pursue करना किसी चीज को, continuous efforts करना, continuous action करना. Learn to labor and to wait. So he says, work hard and work very hard and patiently wait for the result. फिर चाहे result pass हो या fail हो, but अपनी तरफ से you should not leave any stone unturned. Try your best, do your best, live your life in action. So this is the theme. Action is the most important thing in life. Being lazy, being all the time sleeping and not working at the right time are what should I say, are qualities of a loser, a person who cannot really make best of his life. So action is the most important thing, and joys and sorrows in life are immaterial. They have no value as such. Okay, so this poem by Longfellow is basically an inspirational poem with the theme of action, with the theme of to act in life, to reach our goals, to do good things in life. और ये नहीं सोचना है कि life is but an empty dream, कुछ नहीं है, हमने तो मरना है तो हम मरेंगे और सारा काम खत्म, कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है, nothing will happen. No, this is not what you have to think, he says. He says you have to take action, you have to work hard, you have to pursue new dreams so that you can lead a good life, and such kind of life that you leave inspiration for other people. Okay, so quite an interesting poem. I hope आपको idea clear हुआ हो, right? So let us see what the poet has to say about the poem. The title of the poem is highly inspirational. It refers to the exuberance of life and protests against the spirit of melancholy, sadness. Addressing the psalmists, the poem decrees the sad poetry of the psalms and view that human life is a useless dream. Such a view, asserts the poet, would lead to the deadening of human soul. अगर हम यही सोचते रहेंगे ना, life is but an empty dream, तो फिर क्या करना है, जी के बैठे रहो, आराम करो, मजे करो, we have to die. No, he says, do not think like that. Which would lead to deadening of human soul, which lives eternally. Yes, remember this, that soul is something which is immortal, eternal, and our body is mortal. Alluding, that is taking allusion or taking example from the Bible, to the Bible's book of Genesis, the poet suggests that the body dies, but the soul lives on. The central idea of the poem is based on the belief in action. Action alone is important. Joys or sorrows are immaterial. The use of first person plural are and us suggests that the poet is addressing the mankind in general. Humanity को address कर रहे हैं, वो सिर्फ अपनी बात और psalmist की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. Longfellow alludes to a line from the Roman philosopher Seneca's essay De Brevate Vitae, meaning in English, on the shortness of life. Life is very short, we all know, okay? And so, which is Vita brevis est ars, which means life is brief and art is long. Art is something permanent. The line suggests that human life is transitory and passes in no time. Human life jo hai, it comes to an end all of a sudden. But to learn to live well takes a long time. This is what you also have to remember, that live life, but live life fully, in a proper way. The poet compares human life to a bivouac, a temporary encampment during a battle, reinforcing the idea of the impermanence of human existence. इस बात को please ध्यान रखें, है ना, ये bivouac जो मैंने आपको यहाँ बताया है, लिख दिया है वैसे मैंने, बट स्टिल impermanence of human life. That is what he's talking about. However, this should not lead to a loss of hope and translate into a zeal for action. He also stresses the importance of living in the present vis-a-vis, that is in comparison to the past or the future. By repeating the word act twice, the poet once again inspires the readers to engage in action. The next stanza of the poem is amongst the most quoted stanza, paying tribute to the great souls of the bygone days. The poet exhorts the readers to draw inspiration from them. मैंने आपको एक example दिया है. There are many examples that are there. Like those great persons, one must strive to leave behind a rich legacy, one's footprints on the sands of time. The metaphor of footprints continues in the following stanza as well. Metaphor, जब हम एक far-fetched comparison करते हैं, उसे हम metaphor बोलते हैं. तो जो आपके footprints हैं, they are a metaphor for inspiration. ठीक है? The poem is rounded off with the idea of making oneself useful even after death by leading a life that inspires the future generations. The poem ends on a note of hope as it urges the readers to believe in themselves and march forward in life with a positive attitude. Okay, so this is what is all about a psalm of life, where the poet is inspiring every human being to make an effort to lead a life which is well led, which means you have led a good life, a life which becomes an inspiration for the future generations, a life which gives lessons to the future generations. Okay, so this is all about a psalm of life. Try to understand it in the context or in the parameters as on which I have explained it to you. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया है, जिन जिन चीज़ों पे मैंने फोकस किया है वो इसकी सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ें हैं. ओके, तो listen to the lecture carefully. कोई doubts हैं, कोई queries हैं, you are most welcome. That is all for a psalm of life. एक बात ध्यान रखिएगा, पोइट्री बिकॉज मैं आप लोगों को पहले पढ़ा रही हूँ, जब हम पोएम का नाम लिखते हैं, सेम चीज ऐसे में भी आया था आपको. व्हेन वी राइट द नेम ऑफ द पोएम वी ऑलवेज पुट इट इन सिंगल इन्वर्टेड कॉमास, और जो राइटर का नाम है उसके साथ हम कुछ नहीं करते. नथिंग, नो अंडरलाइनिंग, नो पुटिंग इन इन्वर्टेड कॉमर्स. ये ट्रिक्स ऑफ द ट्रेड हैं. जब हम अपने आंसर्स लिखते हैं हमें इन चीज़ों को फॉलो करना चाहिए. सिंपल सी बात है कि जो टाइटल है उसको सिंगल इन्वर्टेड कॉमर्स में लिखना है. लेकिन जैसे कि कोई बुक है, यहाँ पे जैसे बाइबल का मेंशन आप करेंगे तो बाइबल इज अ बुक, ओके, तो उसको अंडरलाइन किया जाएगा. वर्क्स विच आर इन द फॉर्म ऑफ द बुक आर ऑलवेज अंडरलाइन्ड. छोटी सी बात है, याद रखिएगा. That is all for a psalm of life. Thank you.